What's going on, guys? It's Uche Njoku, sneaker principal, and it is the end of my workday, and I decided to make this quick video before I head out home. It is raining outside, so I am definitely trying to delay my exit out of the building. I feel like people here in the city do not know how to drive when it's raining, and you're pretty much putting your life at risk often on rainy days. But nonetheless, this evening, what I want to do is talk to you about this thing. I'll show you. The camera, okay? This is a camera I'm sure you've all seen. This is the Fujifilm X-T5, one of my favorites. And the way I want to talk about the camera is not from the perspective of, just taking pictures or recording video. But I want to talk to you about the camera as a leader from the perspective of being in front of it. It's one thing to be right here, documenting and taking pictures. It's a totally different thing to actually be in front of the camera. So, a little secret. Every time I hit record to sit in front of a camera, I'm nervous. Like I'm sweating. I am trying to calm my nerves down. But there's something about being in front of a camera that is unsettling, especially when you're in a space where you're talking, like it feels like you're talking to yourself. But it's even worse when you're in front of a camera with people watching you from the camera. There's something about that, because we as human beings are not conditioned to speak to inanimate objects. We want to speak to other people that can connect to us, talk back to us. We can see the expressions and the head nods or the facial expressions saying that we do not agree. Right now, there's some noise outside. Please ignore that. My windows are wide open because this room tends to get hot. So whatever you're hearing is the sounds of the Bronx, New York City. So being camera ready, being able to sit in front of a camera or be able to talk into a camera immediately at a moment's notice is a superpower that you need as a school leader. It is an essential skill. And it's something that I know for me, it took me a long time to get used to. But what's even stranger, my ability in front of a camera right now wasn't intentional. It's because during the pandemic, and a little bit prior to that, I was recording content and I was trying to do this YouTube thing because I thought it was so fascinating. And the reps of doing this over and over and over again over the course of the better part of the past 6 years has given me an ability to speak, relatively comfortably in front of a camera. Even though I still get nervous, I'm still self-conscious about how I speak and what I might say or the ums and the pauses in my thinking while I'm talking. That still bothers me subconsciously. But however, I am comfortable in front of a camera. And let's talk about why and how getting comfortable in front of the camera can really level up your leadership. So I'm going to use my notes. Listen, no shame in my game. It's been a long day, so I'm going to use my notes. So first thing, being able to speak into a camera and can't go off the top of your dome, or you can go through notes, come off of notes, is so much likened to speaking to an audience. One of the things that shocked my system it didn't shock my system. I was actually nervous about when I was moving towards becoming an administrator. The number of times that my principal or assistant principals had to speak to the school or parents or large audiences. I've never been one to be comfortable talking to a crowd or public speaking. So my ability to do this now definitely got better as I did more of it. And I'm sorry, let me take that back. My ability to speak to an audience or to a crowd got better because what happened is the reps are just talking and knowing that people are watching you. Even in this case, I'm just talking to a camera, I'm pre-recording this, and I'm just gonna upload it. But in my mind, I know that potentially, 2 or 3 people, maybe hundreds of people might see this, and that interaction calms my nerves and makes it easier for me to speak in public. So it's one of those things where it's very important to, just as your own personal brand as a leader, that you're able to do that. The other thing too is this: your ability to speak in front of a camera as a school leader allows you to enter spaces that you're not going to be able to enter if you weren't in front of a camera. So again, I can shake as many hands as I want of parents coming into the building, or at open houses, or PTA meetings. But when I create content and put it into the world, the potential of hundreds of people seeing that is very powerful. So I get to, as a school leader, help in branding my school through the way I present myself to an audience, especially virtually. I've come across parents in the past few years, especially since I've been in creating content, who've said to me, I know you. You're the sneaker principal. I've seen your videos. Or I know you're the sneaker principal because my teacher was watching your videos. Actually, I had that happen. A student who told me, I know who you are because my teacher showed a video that you did to my class, which is crazy to me because that was never my intention. A lot of my content I create is pretty much was really originally for me, and as time went on, I started to be really honed in towards other leaders and educators. But someone found something that I did and thought, wow, I want to show this to my class, which I think is pretty awesome. I've actually had teachers who've told me that their principals have shared some of my podcast content with them doing PD, which I think is pretty awesome. But the great thing about it is branding me as a leader and as a thought, I guess someone told me as a thought leader. But I also think it's so important because it's also showcasing my leadership in my school setting. Because people are like, wait a minute, you're the person who's leading that school. They can actually, read my receipts and see whether or not what I'm saying is depicted in my leadership in the school building. So I believe that my ability to speak in front of a camera and create content has actually benefited my school community because, A, there's a connection between me as an individual and my leadership and what the results are of my school. So key points to really think about as far as pursuing getting better at speaking in front of a camera. Number one, trust and credibility. Like I said earlier, becoming someone who people value what I have to say or what you have to say because you're an expert or a specialist at a particular thing is very, very important. And not only that, it builds credibility. I'm the sneaker principal, but if you take the sneaker part out of it, which is really more of a gimmick than anything else, even though I do wear sneakers every single day, but my credibility as a leader could be checked upon. You could talk to my staff and ask them, is what he says in all reality true to what he does in the school community? The other thing too is creating content and speaking in front of the camera makes you stronger as a communicator. Listen, I stutter, my ums and the uhs is going to happen. But the one thing that I can say that I'm so much more comfortable with is the fact that even though I get nervous prior to, but once I'm on, I'm on. I am confident in what I say. I believe in what I say. And when you add confidence and belief in oneself, it shows it ultimately shows a certain level of mastery of oneself. So I think by doing this is making me, I'm not going to say I'm a master communicator, but it's making me better at it every single time. The other thing too is community engagement. The more content you create, the more space that you hold in front of a camera, and you actually publish that content of those videos out, it engages your community, whether it's your parents, your students, or even people, your colleagues. It's very, very important because, again, the more eyeballs that I get on me and what I have to say, the more eyeballs I'm actually getting on my community and my school as well. And actually have receipts to prove that. And the other thing too is actually a tip that I want to give you. Let me rewind that. A tip I want to give you. How do you get better? How do you get in front of a camera and speak and know that what you're doing is actually benefiting you and your school community? So number one, when I create content, my space is very intentional. What I wear is very intentional. The way I present myself is very intentional. Because at the end of the day, I believe as school leaders, we are all brands. Okay, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you emote, your energy, is all part of your branding. So I'm very conscious of making sure that whether I'm creating content in my home studio or I'm creating content here in my office, that you know what you're going to expect every time you see me in these spaces. So it's one of those things where I am very particular about how I present myself. So it's very important that when you are creating content, you're doing it with intentionality as far as the way you present yourself. The same way if you were going to do a speech in front of an audience, you would dress appropriately, you would make sure you carry yourself well, you're well groomed, and all those things are very, very important. You know, I didn't want this video to be too long. One thing I want to say to you in closing is this. Yes, speaking in front of a camera, or even speaking in front of a microphone, however you want to put it, you know, people, it evokes thoughts of like being a news anchor or a radio host, or in this modern era, you know, a YouTuber. But however, these are skills that are very, very important. Here at MS224, Exploration and Discovery in District 7 in the South Bronx, we are moving our school to become a space where kids are going to be mastering or working on mastering digital communications. And again, this is what I'm doing. I am communicating with you digitally. This content is recorded digitally. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube, and I'm going to spread it across my my social media platforms: YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all these spaces. And this is part of the world we live in now. So if you're not comfortable communicating on this medium, you're going to be left behind at some point in time. Because those of us who are comfortable on it are going to get more eyeballs on us, get more families to see our schools and understand what we're doing, and make a choice well before you who are not comfortable with the spaces make an offer. You know, I know for me, a lot of things that I buy, a lot of things that I purchase, I make decisions based on what I see before I even walk into the store. Which is crazy, right? Before you walk into a store, you look around and see, do I want this mayonnaise or do I want that mayonnaise? Now, I can go on YouTube and watch videos about mayonnaise and be like, you know what? This was very convincing without ever seeing the jar, without ever touching the jar, without even tasting it, because digital communication is very powerful. It allows you to sit with something long before you ever hold it. So again, this is a space that I think, that I believe that you need to master and get really good at. That's it for right now. I am ready to go. Not really, but yeah. I hope this is helpful to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message, comment, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. And I'll talk to you soon. All right. Be well. Peace.